Good evening, everyone. So, I'm Dr. Swaroop, Associate Professor Pathology from Devraj Aras Medical College. Before I start, I'd like to thank Dr. Sanjay Bedisa for giving me this opportunity to take a session on use of technology in education. So, for me, use of technology has always been the passion, and to see how it can be used in education is the current challenge. So, first, I'd like to show you how to use an online interactive presentation tool called as Mentimeter. I feel all of you are familiar with Kahoot. So if you like Kahoot, you definitely love this particular app. So how do you access it? So you just have to go to your browser and type in mentimeter.com, mentimeter.com. And here you can see, so I'll just show you the pricing before we begin. So I'm using the free version. So the basic version is $10 a month, whereas the free version has most of the features that I want to use. So unlimited audience size, unlimited content. The only limitation I find is you can only add 2 questions per presentation and 5 quiz type questions per presentation. So if you want to add more than this, so you might have to split your class into more than one presentation, but there is no time limit or size limit for your slides. And if you have the paid version, you definitely can import the presentations. So in this free version, you will have to create your presentation on Mentimeter itself. Whereas if you have the paid version, you can import your PowerPoint presentations directly into Mentimeter. So to start in, first thing we want to do is we want to sign up or log in. So you can directly sign up using your Google. So what I do is I create one Gmail ID, a new Gmail ID, not the one that I use routinely, with which I sign in to all the apps that I use for my classes. So I don't want the students to be seeing my name as whatever is your personal mail ID. So you can create a new Gmail ID just to log into all these different online tools. And the advantage is you don't have to now remember the different username and password. So I'll click login with Google, and here I've already signed into my Google account, so it's immediately taking me in. Otherwise it'll ask you to enter your Gmail ID and password. So if you have not signed in, so if you click login and you click login with Google, it will prompt you with this email ID that you have to enter. So you can give the email ID that you have created for the use of all these online tools, or if you want to use the same email ID as your personal email ID, you can use that one too. So here I have created one ID specifically for use of these online tools. So once you log in, you will see an empty page where there'll be an option of a new presentation or a new folder. So before I show you how to start using Mentimeter, I want you to see what it is capable of. So for any of these online demonstrations of e-learning tools, it is always preferable if you are on a desktop or a laptop rather than a mobile phone. But even if you're on a mobile phone, that is okay. So I'll show you what you can do. So now I want you to go to your browser. It can be any browser, Chrome browser or any browser that is there on your mobile or laptop device. And I want you to enter in this URL, www.menti.com. So the teacher uses mentimeter.com, whereas the students or the participants use www.menti.com. And you have to use this code 416326. So I'll wait for a few seconds. So you can see my presentation even on this tool. So you can minimize your webinar browser. You'll still be able to hear to the audio, and you have to go to your internet browser on your mobile or laptop, Chrome, Internet Explorer, Safari, Opera, and go to the website www.menti.com, and you have to enter this code 416326. So you will notice that on each of my slides this is given. So in case a student sees this late also. So this is preferably you can use it for your large group teaching, because most of us use PowerPoint to teach for large group teaching, that is a batch of 100, 150 or even 250 in some colleges. But we totally don't use the PowerPoint or these online presentations to its full potential. We all have internet available as of now. So instead of using your routine PowerPoint, you can use these online presentation tools to make your classes more interactive. So I'll go to the next slide. So Mentimeter is an online interactive presentation tool. So all these words are true. So it can only be used online. So when you're offline, you cannot use it. Interactive, so you will see how this will convert a standard presentation into an interactive presentation. So normally we are used to teaching a batch of this size, so around 150 to 200 students, but most of the time the only way we think we can make it interactive is by posing in some questions where only a few people voice out their opinion. But the future generation is where the student will be allowed to use his laptop and mobile devices, and he can not only listen to the presentation but even access more resources over the internet regarding the same presentation. So we can use this to our benefit. The fact that most of our students at least carry a mobile phone with internet connection, we can use it to make our classrooms more interactive. So the future will definitely be where a single teacher may be teaching a group of 1,000 students, and he still has to interact with all of these 1,000 students. So I'll show you how. So now you will be seeing this question. You have to enter 3 words that come into your mind when you hear the word e-learning. So any 3 words, what do you think about e-learning? So if you have just joined, you have to open your browser and log on to www.menti.com and use the code 416326. You will see this question and you can type in any 3 words that come into your mind when you hear the word e-learning. So for the ones who have already entered, you can see this word cloud, and you can see the moment someone puts in the answer, you can see all those options appearing, and the size of the word indicates how many people have chosen the same word. So far 6 of them have replied. So this word cloud is really interesting if you want to know what your students already know about a particular topic. So you can either pose that as a question, or in the end of your class, if you want to know what your students have understood from the class, you can ask them write any 3 key points or key words regarding your topic. So if you have thought regarding tuberculosis, you can ask them what are the 3 words or 3 important things that you learned about the topic. So this will give the teacher an idea regarding either what the students already know or what did they think were the take home messages of the group. So here you can see the largest word is interesting. So this means that most of you have given this as one of your 3 options, and all the others, that is web, anywhere, engaged, learner centered, these all may be selected only by one of you. So all of them are of the same size. So for this particular activity, I always feel the more the number of options, so you will get to see a really large word cloud, and you will get a clear view of what most of them think about your topic. So here for me, by the word e-learning, I would think that most of them think it's something new and interesting. It definitely needs internet and laptop, and it's useful. So you can use this word cloud to begin your class. So just to get the students interested regarding the topic, and just so that they get to know what the rest of the group also thinks. Sometimes you may think that you're the only one who thinks that that particular topic has a particular key point, but now you will get to know that many of them either think like you or they think totally the opposite. So you might have a particular concept that you have totally misunderstood. So when you use a word cloud, you will definitely get to know where you stand, and for the teacher, he gets to know what is the general opinion of the crowd. So we have got many more options, and still interesting is the one that stands out. Engaged, useful, anywhere, access anywhere, distance, synchronous. I feel synchronous is something new. Earlier technology or online learning was always associated with asynchronous learning, but with the current scenario, we are using technology to its best. That is, we are predominantly using it for synchronous learning. So now I'll go to the next question. So as of now, all of you are taking online classes. So this is a rating kind of question. So this can be your feedback form. At the end of your class, you don't have to take a real feedback form. So here I want to know, how do you rate e-learning as per your experience under these three topics? Online classes can be as interactive as uh, traditional classroom classes. Online learning is here to stay. We will use online classes even after the students come back to our. So this is a very useful tool, especially when you want to take feedback. It can be at the end of your class, at the end of your online session, or it can be at the end of a CME. And where you want instant feedback, you don't want to take those hard copy forms or the Google forms and later on tally them. You want to see it on the spot regarding what the audience thinks about that particular session. So this can be taken at the end of the first session if you want the opinion regarding the audio quality and the video quality, or it can be taken at the end when you want the overall opinion about what you have been. So here I think all of you agree with the first two questions, that you like it or not, online learning is here to stay. And our group is slightly a more biased group because most of us are motivated towards e-learning. So definitely the answer is. However, the third question is a tricky one. Some of you feel that maybe once the students come back, there will either be a reduction or complete stopping your online classes. If someone has just joined now, what I want you to do is, I want you to open a browser and type in www.menti.com, menti.com. It'll ask you for a code and you have to type in 416326. A year or more back, I would say online learning would have been very difficult because internet connectivity and bandwidth was always a restriction. But now most of us would have experienced that even in our institute, out of the majority, maybe it's only 2 to 3% who have these internet connectivity issues, but majority of them are able to attend more than 75% of your online classes. Maybe 15 to 20% they may get disconnected and reconnect, but the overall time spent on the online classes definitely improved. So those were questions. The difference between questions and quiz is quiz has the right answer, whereas your questions, you just are collecting some opinion. So those two slides were questions, whereas here it's only a single question quiz that I'm conducting. So this particular question is, are all our e-learning platforms accept? So this is exactly like Kahoot. The fastest answer gets the most points and the slowest answer gets the least points. So here I feel my mistake, I have not marked the correct answer, but the correct answer is Duster. So it would have shown a green tick here. And Google Classroom is an e-learning platform, Blackboard is one, Moodle is one, and Canvas is also one. So you can use this as a in your classes. So in the free version, you can have up to 5 quiz questions, and you can have these multiple choice questions where the answers are displayed in the end, and it even shows the leaderboard exactly like your Kahoot. But here, since I had not said the correct answer, it's showing as 0 points. So I will do this again once I show you how to use this Mentimeter. So now I'll go back. So how do you use this? So when you log into mentimeter.com and you log in either by signing up with a new ID, or I have used the method that is login with Google, what I can do is I have to click this new presentation. So once I click create a new presentation, it'll ask me to give a name. So I'll give it as and create. So this is just a title for your lecture. So this is like your online PPT where you can create the entire PPT. On the left hand side, you can see your slides, and on the right hand side, you can choose for each slide what is the content that you want. So for the first slide, if I want this to be a content slide, so on the right hand side, you can see these are the popular question types. Quiz, it has only MCQ or fill in the blanks option. Content slides are the slides that you prepare in your presentation. So if the first slide you want it as a content, so you have to choose content. And unlike PPT where you type inside the slide, here you have to type on the right hand side. So on the right hand side, it will show under heading what I want to type. So I can type the name of my class, e-learning, and subheading, I can type the name of the teacher. And then you can even customize it by changing the colors. But as of now, I'll just stick to this black and white backdrop. Next, I can choose one more slide. So I can click add a slide. So your second slide, now you want to create a word cloud. So you want to know what the people know about the topic. So now I've clicked add slide. On the right hand side in type, I choose word cloud. So the moment I choose word cloud, it shows me the question. The question is word cloud. So if I click that, now I can change the question. So I can type in what are the take home messages, and I leave the description blank. If you want to write the description, you can write. Otherwise, you can just leave it as blank. For example, you want them to answer in only one word. So you can write that only one word or one word answers. And you have this option of selecting how many entries each participant can give. So if you have a big class and 250 students, maybe you can restrict it to 1 or 2. Smaller audience, I would suggest more entries, and it depends on your question. So if your question has multiple options, then you would always choose more entries. And one advantage is it even gives you this option of if you feel there are some mischievous students who may use profanity in this word cloud, so you can choose this profanity filter. And for India, I would suggest only choosing English and Hindi probably. So if it finds out that any of the replies are profane words, it will automatically omit those replies. They will not be displayed on the on your word cloud. And there's an option of a student can submit more than one time, but I usually will not check this one. Now next, if you want to add one more slide, you have to go to the left hand side and click add slide. So if you have a paid version, this import, all when you click import, you will see this option of importing from your Google Slides, Keynote or PowerPoint. But in the free version, you cannot import any of your presentations. So you will have to recreate the entire presentation here. You'll have to copy paste it from your PPT or your Word document into this particular app. So you'll have to do it inside Mentimeter. So next, I want to have a 2x2 grid question, or you can ask a ranking question. So you can select the question as coronary commonly involved in MI. So if you have an answer where if you want to ask a question regarding drugs of choice, so which is the first drug of choice, second drug of choice, so for such questions you can use this option of ranking. So here you can give right coronary, and you can choose something that's renal, something that's not even close to the answer. And you can delete, if you have only two options, you can delete the third option. So now the student will have to rank these questions. So now if I click add slide, you will notice that all my question area has got blanked out, because in the free version I can only add 2 questions. So I've already chosen a word cloud and a ranking question, so I can add no more questions. And I can add 4 or 5 of these quiz type questions. So what I will suggest is that we can intersperse it with your content of your presentations, and you can have these in between just to get the interaction between the audience. So I will put in my content first slide, word cloud, 10 of your PowerPoint presentation slides, followed by a question that either you expect them to know the answer in your presentation. So that time, instead of choosing it as a question, I can choose it as a quiz, because I've already explained that particular topic. So in quiz, there's an option of even putting an image. So you can give an image related quiz. I'll just take a histology of, and I can add that as my question. So my question can be, and then you can give your options as, and here on the left hand side you have to tick the correct answer. So when you tick this correct answer and you set it as a quiz, you will notice that on the leaderboard you will get the score as per the whoever has answered the correct answer and the fastest. So to add slides, you have to click add, but it will only allow you to add one slide at once. So you have to add one slide, choose what type of slide you want. So there are different options here. So if I want to delete, just to show you what are the other options, so I'll click add a slide. So you have MCQ. So this one is not a question format. So here you will, this can be given likely at the start of a class where you want to know what the students think is the right answer. Word cloud, also similar, but you can get a much better impression regarding the entire audience. Open-ended questions, I will show you. So if you give an open-ended questions, all the answers will appear as it is seen here. So you will see that you can see all the answers in these bubbles. So you can choose speech bubbles, or they appear one by one like your Facebook messages, or like a flow grid. So as and when a student writes something, it will keep changing. So open-ended question is also a good one. So it's something like your 1 minute test in the end. So instead of giving a handwritten test, you can give them a 1 minute question, and you can ask them to in the form of these open-ended questions. Then you have scales, which we can use for feedback. You have ranking, so especially if you have drugs of choice or most common malignancy at a particular site, so you can use them in that way. You have image choice. So unlike your Google Forms or Kahoot, you cannot choose the image for all the questions as an answer. So you'll have to choose the specific subtype called as image choice, where the question will not have the images, but the answer will have images. So here I can reverse it as, which image do you likely think represents a particular, so here I can reverse it as, which image is of squamous cell carcinoma, and I can give different images here. So I can choose one which is actually of squamous cell carcinoma and the others which are not. So this is one more way where the answer is in the form of image and the question is the text. Then you have your question and answer. So at the end of your class, you can ask what is the opinion about something. So quiz has only two types. So one is your MCQ. The difference between this multiple choice in question and multiple and quiz under that select answer is, in quiz you'll have to give the correct answer, whereas in multiple choice question you don't have to give the correct answer. Then you have this fill in the blanks option, where you can give the question and you can write in what is the correct answer. But this is very tricky because, like in Google Forms, even if the student answers one alphabet is different from your correct answer, it will not give him the points for the correct answer. So unless you know that there is only one way to spell that particular diagnosis, this is a very tricky one to keep in the form of quiz. Then there are some advanced, then there are your content slides. So content slides in this particular software is not as great as the next software that we'll be seeing, that is Prezi. So you have your heading slide, you have one option of paragraph, bullet points, image, and bullets with image. So you cannot alter this. So if I choose bullets with image, I have to drag and drop an image on the right hand side. So I'll just show you. So I'll take an image and drag it to this media, and it will appear. So now there is no option of me adding multiple images like how you do in your PowerPoint presentation. So Mentimeter is slightly more rigid when you create your presentation. So the presentation tools are just your bare bones. So there are not that many fancy options that you even get in Keynote or PowerPoint. But what is interesting is, I don't have to keep my quiz and my presentation separate. I can integrate it all together. If you're running a Kahoot, you would first want to use PPT or your Keynote to do your presentations, and your Kahoot just to add in that flavor of quiz in between. But in Mentimeter, you can have it all in one app. So in between your presentations, you can have these questions and quiz. So the limitation is, the settings that you get for the slides are very minimal. So you don't have that many settings. So you have then bullets with image and image only. In advanced questions, you have some options where you can give overall 100 points and you can ask what the student ranks first. So this probably in a theory class it's very difficult, but if you're doing it for a presentation, and if I tell that out of 100 points which are the areas you would want to score as high, so I can give it as the quality of the speakers, the quality of the food. So the audience will have to split their points in between. So I'll just choose 100 points. So now you will have to split your answer between these options. So if I give rate this session based on the audio video quality, pace of the presentation, so you will have to split your 100% or 100 marks between this. So if you give 70 to the first, you'll only have 30 spare to give between content and pace. So you can use it in that format. And then you have this grid, which I will show you in the next session, next demo. And then you have who will win. So who will win is probably suited in a particular, so if you have a particular competition, there's a cricket match, so probably it's more suited there than in academics. But if you can still think of a place where you can use this, there's definitely a possibility. So I will just go back and I will just go through this other two advanced question types, and I'll just show you how this will appear. So I'll click present. So you can do the same thing. Go to menti.com, use 86, 71, 75, and you can type in what you think about this session. So you have to go open your browser, go to this www.menti.com and use the code 867175. So you can see, as a teacher, you will get immediate input and you're getting qualitative data. With the other formats, we are usually forcing them to reply in a particular way, because I may only give two options. How was the lecture? Good, bad. So you are sure that most of them will choose the positive one. But here, even your qualitative data can be assessed, and just by a visual. So this can be even used at the end of your session if you want students to summarize your entire topic in a few words. So you have around 120 words, so you can summarize that in that short sentences. And now you can see, so I can ask all the students to define granuloma, and you can see what your students have understood from your topic and what is their definition of the same. So next, they have given you this option of a grid kind of option. So if you want to create a blueprint for an exam, so you always know that the chances of a question appearing is directly proportional to the impact and the frequency of this. So you can choose, you're not, even if you're not from these subjects, you can just choose for all of these topics, what do you think is its impact on public health for the student to know, and how frequently should it be assessed. So in this checkbox, the upper right will mean that there is both high impact and high frequency. The left hand side, high impact but low frequency. This one, no impact and no frequency. And probably here, high frequency but low impact. So this can be even used in your department if you want to take opinion about a particular topic. And doing this using a real hard copy form would take much more time. But you can see already, based on the 9 people or 10 people who have responded, I can clearly see that pineal gland is the least important. So this question should definitely not appear in your exams, whereas the histology of thyroid gland has been given the most, that people feel that it's both a high impact and a high frequency topic, and which is followed by gross anatomy of the cubital fossa and neuroanatomy. So these three topics are must in your blueprint in your exam, or should appear with more frequency or more weightage. So more marks can be given for these three topics, and lesser marks can be given when you look at it with embryology of gut and your frequency. So if I click these individual dots, it even shows the different values. So some of you have even said that the histology of pineal gland is both a high impact and a high frequency, but majority of you think that it is a low impact and low frequency, because, and so this point is the average of all the 10 people who have replied. So the more the audience, this particular point is a better average that time. So lesser the audience, it gets biased very easily. But if this number were to be 200 or 300, so you can take a consensus decisions on topics, whether they are core or non-core, or their frequency should be more or not, just using a graph like this. There is a quiz, so I'll just click start. So these are the different kinds of questions that you can use in Mentimeter. I'd like to go in for Prezi. So Prezi is quite the contrast. It's an excellent presentation tool, but probably it's not an interactive. So the aim of Prezi was never to create interaction between the audience and the presenter. But if you see Prezi, you will definitely fall in love with that particular presentation tool. If there are any questions, I'd like to answer them. So if you go to your presentation again, so in the presentation, it gives you this option of downloading the results. So you go to that question and you can click download results. And in the free version, they don't allow you to get the Excel. So you don't get to know who has given a particular answer, but you can download that image, the word cloud or your feedback response in the free version. So I have just downloaded. So you will see that it gives you that responses. But if you want to know who has given that response, then you need to upgrade to a paid account. So in the paid account, you get that spreadsheet as at what time, who has given which response.